G'day, it's Jamie, and welcome to Where's My Yowie. Today, I'm reading an old magazine article about Rex Gilroy, the grandfather of Australian Yowie research. So we'll get into it. This was published in the Australian Women's Weekly on Wednesday, the 15th of December, 1976. Title, It's Huge, Hairy, and Hides in the Bush. It's huge, hairy, and from Cape York to Tasmania, the monster Yowie prowls. Forget the fairies at the bottom of your garden. There may be a Yowie lurking there. According to self-appointed Yowie expert Rex Gilroy, Australia has a huge and hairy monster roaming the eastern states, and there was a reported sighting in New Guinea too. The Yowie is different from Britain's Nessie and the Yeti or abominable snowman of the Himalayas because our monster likes the trees and undergrowth of dry, warm land. There has been a boom in sightings of the Yowie in the Queanbeyan and Hawkesbury areas of New South Wales in the past months. In October, the Queanbeyan Festival Board put up a $200,000 award for the capture of a Yowie after a Googong Dam worker was terrified when he was confronted by a dark grey, hairy creature with its head merging into its shoulders. It was about 180 centimetres or 6 feet tall, the worker insisted. In the Hawkesbury River area, a fisherman gave chase after seeing two huge ape-like creatures amble into the bush. He pursued them for some distance, but retreated when they began pelting him with rocks from a high ledge. It's no laughing matter, says 32-year-old Rex, who lives at Katoomba in the Blue Mountains. He is so concerned at getting to the bottom of the mystery that he set up the first Yowie Research Centre in Australia in July. Rex has been on the trail of the Yowie for the past 10 years. Now the trail has become so hot that he has organised the first Yowie hunt. A search of the Barrington Tops area in the Great Dividing Range will be soon made. There are enough freshly taken past the castle footprints to indicate that we are closing in on him. Some Yowie's footprints are as large as 60 centimetres or 2 feet long by 33 centimetres or 14 inches wide. The search will be a major one, and I'll be choosing the party, Rex says. For instance, I don't want a champion marksman who volunteered. I want the Yowie taken alive for scientific study. The only weapons we'll carry will be cameras and tranquilizer darts. It is sad that whenever some rare creature is spotted, the bush is filled with homicidal madmen armed with guns. Rex has a lot of Yowie evidence gathered over the years, such as stone artefacts, too big and cumbersome ever to be used by a man, and monster footprint casts at his Mount York Natural History Museum at Mount Victoria in the Blue Mountains. A self-taught geologist and zoologist, he claims to have the largest privately owned natural history collection in the Southern Hemisphere. He first saw one of the huge footprints when hiking over the Katoomba area of the Blue Mountains. They were bare prints, about 2.5 times the normal size. Then, at 3:30 p.m. on August 7, 1970, Rex says, I was hiking from Mount Solitary when I stopped to rest on a rock and eat my sandwiches. This creature jumped from behind a tree and scurried through giant ferns and into the rainforest, making a grunting, gurgling sound that changed to a screech once it entered the scrub. It was covered with hair, with no facial features, and had the leaping gape of an ape. I thought it was a circus orangutan that had escaped. I shot home and told Dad. He's an old miner, and he said he'd heard of these things being seen before. Rex took to literature and read Eastern Australian folk tales in which Aborigines describe a creature of the Yowie or Great Hairy Man. Convinced that what he had seen was a Yowie, Rex told country newspapers in the eastern states about his experience. He is sure that the Yowie is related to the Himalayan abominable snowman and the Sasquatch or Bigfoot of North America. Australia was joined to the mainland Asia until the Ice Age of 20,000 years ago, as was America. I believe these creatures migrated from Asia before the ice melted. If this is right, it creates havoc with textbooks. As a result of his newspaper articles, about 3,000 people wrote to Rex reporting sightings of Yowies. In his first fight to have the Yowie recognised, Rex has had to contend with a lot of ridicule. Even his wife thought he was a nut at first. Now she is convinced there is something in what he says. Rex is also considered an eccentric by academics who have refused to accept his evidence. Many won't even look at it. A Sydney University man told me what I'd seen was a large dog. A dog on two legs? Another uni bod said I'd imagine it. A Canberra paper returned my manuscript, having consulted a CSIRO scientist who said no such creature existed because if it did, they would have discovered it by now. My argument is that we've never gone looking for it. Eric von Daniken, who wrote Chariots of the Gods, gives Rex a good hearing in his book, In Search of Ancient Gods, and Rex is interviewed in von Daniken's film Mystery of the Gods, which should soon be released in Australia. He has taken my evidence to support his claims of giants as early inhabitants of Earth. Sorbonne scientists are interested, as are experts in Germany, Britain and Egypt. Funds may even come from the Smithsonian Institute in the USA for Rex to continue his hunt for the Yowie. There have been some spectacular Yowie sightings reported. 25 have come from the Tid Bin Billa area near Canberra recently. Sightings of Yowies on the move. A girl at Dungay Creek, New South Wales, saw a Yowie while picking oranges. Dogs disturbed the creature in the scrub and forced it into the open. It was 180 centimetres or 6 feet tall and covered in long brown hair. A Kempsey woman was confronted by a hairy and nasty smelling creature that burst through a hedge and terrified her on her way home. At Crescent Head, a young girl picking wildflowers turned to find a 210 centimetre or 7 foot tall man with tan-coloured hair all over the face and body watching her. She screamed and ran. 2 fishermen at Turuka at 3 a.m. encountered a strange form in a quiet stretch of deep water. They thought it was a rock until it moved around their boat, making strange gurgling noises. Then they rowed like hell for shore. At Karai Plateau, a man was attacked by a hairy-like ape creature about 120 centimetres, 4 feet tall, as he slept in his bed. It was covered with bristly hair about 13 centimetres or 5 inches long. It dragged him from his bed, and he only broke free when the man punched it heavily. 2 timber cutters were forced from their camp about 70 kilometres from Lismore because of repeated visits by a 240 centimetre or 8 foot tall hairy creature. New Guinea Highlanders recently reported sighting several 180 centimetre, 6 feet tall hairy monsters outside their village. In Tasmania, a 240 centimetre, 8 foot tall hairy creature surprised 2 rabbiters trapping in the Powhatan foothills. So, If you can produce a yowie from the bottom of your garden, you've made the biggest zoological discovery of the century. By Jill Bowen, the end. I really like that story. Rex recently passed away, which is a pity, but his legacy will live on as being a yowie researcher as more and more people are researching yowies. Okay, that's it from me. I'll get back to you all next time. Bye.